All right. Welcome everyone to Online Presenters. It is the 39th day before the end of this Toastmasters year. We're excited for all the things that are going on, and we're excited about the humorous contest that we're all about to participate in and enjoy. Thank you, David, and to Joni for putting the yeoman's work in, as well as all the participants from the club members. We'll see what happens at the end of this, and hopefully everybody will have a good time participating. Back to the contest chair at this point. Joni, is that you?
Yes, that would be me.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Online Presenters Humorous Speech Contest. Now, in a few minutes, you will hear from the speakers who are competing to be our club's champion. Now, there's a little bit of a change because I'm not seeing one of our contestants currently. I'm not seeing Toru, so that means that the speaking order would have changed slightly. And now instead of 4 contestants, we are now down to 3. Before I start though, just a bit of housekeeping rules. In order to maintain a quality environment for all, please leave yourself on mute. O-N-M-U-T-E, not U-N-M-U-T-E. There's a difference. It's important. Unless you're a contestant or a contest official and need to speak at that time. Also, as a courtesy to our speakers and other Toastmasters, we ask that while keeping your camera on for the duration of the contest, please remain cognizant of your background. It is a humorous contest, but certain type of humor is not very Toastmasterly, right? Now, the chat will be disabled for the contest, but please feel free to utilize your emojis, to laugh along, to applaud, to let everyone know exactly how you feel about the speeches. After the speaker has commenced their presentation, we will be permitted to enter the meeting, and the Zoom master will admit attendees only during the minute of silence. For our timer today, Miss Antoinette Trim, she will be utilizing the raise hand feature to allow her to be easily located, or I saw her using the raise hand feature to be easily located, but don't worry, it's online presenters. Our speakers will figure it out, right? The timing for the speech only starts when the contestants gives their first definite verbal or non-verbal cue after being introduced. Now, should a contestant lose connectivity once they have started their speech, they're expected to log back on in 2 minutes and continue their speech. I'll instruct the timers to pause their timing for a maximum of 2 minutes to allow the contestants to rejoin. Now, no signal will be given for the overtime period. As it's the humorous speech contest, I know we know the times, but I'm going to go over them anyway. It's 5 to 7 minutes. Now, a contestant will be disqualified if the speech is less than 4 minutes and 30 seconds or more than 7 minutes and 30 seconds. And a contestant is not disqualified until their time is not qualified. I said disqualified. Haha, humorous moment. They are not qualified until they reach 4 minutes and 30 seconds and is not disqualified until the time reaches 7 minutes and 31 seconds. The time signals will be displayed and are as follows. Antoinette, you ready to go with me? Green will be displayed at 5 minutes. Beautiful, and remain displayed for 1 minute. Yellow will be displayed at 6 minutes and remain displayed for 1 minute. And red will be displayed at 7 minutes and remain until the conclusion of the speech. Again, we're not going to know if we go over time. For our chief judge, and this is important, protests and disqualifications. Protests are limited to eligibility, originality, and reference to another contestant's speech, and must only be lodged by the contest voting judges and or the contestants. Any protest must be received prior to the contest being adjourned, and no protest will be considered from audience members. Let me repeat. No protests will be considered from audience members. The contest chair, I have some power, can disqualify a contestant based on eligibility. In this case, I may just have to with contestant number one because I'm at the end of my presentation and I don't see him. But for everybody else, I can tell you they're from a club in good standing and they're a member in good standing. Announcement of the contest winners is final unless the list of winners is announced incorrectly. I will do that. It is me. However, fortunately, this will be done by our chief judge, so we don't have to worry about them having to correct me in case I'm wrong. Now, the chief judge ballot counters or timers are permitted to immediately interrupt to correct the error. You'll be pleased to know that our chief judge today for this contest is David Carr. Mr. Chief Judge, have all your judges been briefed?
My judges have been briefed. They have been assigned a digital ballot because we do things digitally at Online Presenters, and hopefully that will all go smoothly. And if not, I have a ballot counter. Evie will help me chase people down and beat the votes out of them, however we have to do it, so that you get a nice, clean result that we'll be able to announce for this meeting. And I did want to reiterate, we want to encourage people to keep their cameras on. So if they can't hear you laughing, at least let them see you laughing in this speech, because I know that's been one of the complaints about trying to do a humorous contest online. We got to try and give these folks some feedback. So if you're enjoying what they're saying, try and show it. And if you, we will ask you to remain muted because too many mics open creates chaos in an online meeting. You can't have that. I think that's all I have to report. Contest Master.
Excellent. So, Mr. Chief Judge, are we ready to proceed?
I believe we are ready to proceed.
Beautiful. Now, as you can see by my background today, we're doing reverse silent error. Usually, it's the person on screen who's silent and the audience is laughing. Well, for now, it's the opposite way. We are the ones who are going to be the mimes unmuted and using our emojis to represent our feelings, but there will be no sound. To begin, the speaking order was chosen as follows and will be placed in the chat. However, contestant number one is no longer available, and therefore the speaking order has changed. In first place, or first speaker, will be Jim Barber. Our second speaker will be Kim Leaming, and our third speaker will be Andriy Smolenko. Now, Madam Timer, are we ready? We're ready. Contestant number 2 now on. Jim Barber, can you see the timer? Remember, it's reverse vaudeville. The audience is quiet. You actually have to speak.
Yeah, I'm a little slow, but yes, I can see Antoinette in all her glory.
Beautiful. Jim Barber, that age-old question is even older. That age-old question is even older, Jim Barber.
Thank you, Madam Contest Master. It happened almost 10 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. I received a letter from the United States government. Now, I don't know about you, but when I get a letter from the government, it's almost always bad news. This one was too. I read the letter. It started off innocently enough. Dear Mr. Barber, the United States government is pleased to tell you that James Harry Barber Jr., that's me, has been certified to be eligible for Medicare, which is a good thing normally. Health insurance is a good thing to have. But the problem is I have to be 65 to be eligible for Medicare. So when I read this letter, I didn't read, you're eligible for Medicare. I read, congratulations, you are old. This wasn't the first time that I had read this sort of thing. You see, I received a similar letter a few years before that. Some of you may have seen that one also. It comes very nicely. It says, congratulations. I'm sorry. Our Sergeant at Arms said at the beginning that because we are a diverse club, we need to be aware of offensive language. We don't want to say anything that somebody could take offense at, but there is no way that I can continue without using a 4-letter word. So here it goes. If it disqualifies me, that's just the way it goes. I received a letter from AARP, the American Association of Retired Persons. And it said, congratulations, you are eligible for membership in AARP. But of course, what I saw was, congratulations, you are old. I can't escape it. A couple of weeks ago, it was Mother's Day. And so I offered to take my wife, Grace, out to dinner, celebrate Mother's Day. I asked her where she wanted to go, and she said, well, she wanted to go someplace, try some international cuisine. So I took her to Taco Bell, and we looked at the menu, selected a couple of items, talking to the lady behind the counter, girl behind the counter, told her what we wanted. She was very efficient, took her orders, everything. It was a pleasant dining experience. My wife was going to be thrilled with this. But then the girl behind the counter, she perkily smiled at me and said, sir, would you like your senior citizens discount? Come on. She didn't ask to see my driver's license. She didn't have any other clue. She just arbitrarily said, would you like your senior citizens discount? I had been having a bad day, and that was just the topper to it all. I was so angry. I was so irate. I could not stand it any longer. I leaned across the counter and I said, how much is the discount? I think part of the problem is I'm on the team, but I'm not wearing the team uniform. So I'm correcting that. Okay, now I look the part a little better. The thing is, there are 3 really lousy things about getting old. The first is that you tend to repeat yourself. You say the same things, you tell the same stories to the same people over and over and over and over again, and people get tired of it. I can understand that. But that's not all. The second bad thing, the second really lousy thing about getting old is that you can't handle technology anymore. Technology is going crazy. It's nothing I can handle anymore. And of course, the third thing is really the worst of all. The third thing is I get distracted so easily. Used to, I had laser focus, and now it's what does that button do? Oh, whoop. sorry, that isn't what I wanted. Okay. There are 3 really lousy things about getting old. The first is that you start to repeat yourself. You tell the same old stories to the same people over and over and over again. But the second thing is that technology is such a problem. It's amazing how many things go wrong when you're least expecting it. That wasn't supposed to happen, but okay. All right, okay. Yellow light, I'm running out of time. Before I want to leave you with one thing. I've talked about the bad things about getting old, but there are some good things. And there's one thing in particular. It's almost a fundamental truth. And I want to share it with you. If you don't remember anything else that I said tonight, please, I want you to remember this. There are 3 really lousy things about getting old. The first is that, oh darn. We're back. Anyway, Madam Contest Master.
We will now have 1 minute of silence for our judges to mark their ballots.
Minute or so.
Thank you, Madam Timer. Contestant number 2, Kim Leaming. Can you see the timer?
Actually, I cannot. Oh, yes, I do.
Awesome. Kim Leaming, Blondini's International Flag Collection. Blondini's International Flag Collection, Kim Leaming.
Thank you, Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and dear guests. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a confession to make. I am totally clueless about how all this magic stuff works because I'm Blondini. But I think this magician gig is working out for me. You guys are the first to know. I just signed on with my first talent agent. I'm proud to tell you that I'm his first 2-legged client. He must be a good talent agent because I just signed my first contract with HBO. I am really excited about it. I think we negotiated a great deal too. It's only $19 a month and they even threw in Cinemax. That's probably enough of my bragging. Let's get on to my speech. First of all, I'd like to point out. Secondly, I would like to say this to you all, this. Thirdly, for the hard of hearing, I repeat that. Fourthly, here are a few small words for you all, if and at how I. Fifthly, here's a joke for the telepathics. Sixthly, here's a joke for the dyslexics. Jim bim ballygaga doodah. Seventhly, here's a joke for the paranoiacs. He's behind you. Eighthly, I have to admit that's as high as I know how to count because I'm Blondini. I'm traveling a lot these days, Of course, with an act like mine, you have to keep moving. Do you like to travel? I see a lot of heads nodding. Yes. What a coincidence. I do too. In fact, I collect flags of all the places I'd like to visit. Of course, these days, it's a digital collection. Tonight, I'm going to share details about my life with you using my flag collection. My husband, Jim, and I recently celebrated our 23rd wedding anniversary. Even after all these years, I am happy to say that we still Ecuador each other. In fact, I often say to him, you can still ring my bell, Jim. There you go. You can still ring my bell, Jim. To celebrate our anniversary, Jim asked me out for a night on the town. I said, yeah, man, that sounds like fun. He dressed up for the occasion. He looked very cute in his Panama hat. Before going to dinner, he took me to a local bar to get some before dinner drinks, like a Canada Dry, a chocolate Malta, or Zambia, some beer. We ended up drinking beer. Then we drank Samoa beer. We reminisced about people we knew and things we had done in the past. Jim said, do you remember those two girls that came to our wedding who were both named Anne? I said, yes, I think you mean Angola and Antigua. How could I forget? I may be blonde, but I do have a Bahrain. You know, I was in Borneo yesterday. The two Anns are the ones who threw a party for our friend Ben. Jim asked, didn't they fly Ben in for that party? I said, yes, they did. They flew him in from Bosnia-Herzegovina. By the way, can you think of a better way to get that country in the story? I can't because I'm blondie. By that point, we were starting to Taiwan on. So much so that we were both starting to get silly. We decided to get a bite to eat since we were both hungry. We weren't sure where to eat. We knew we didn't want fast food. You know, a place where you get your food to go. Jim said he knew of a nice restaurant where they serve you, and they use fine china. Before we left, I went to powder my nose. Apparently, it took me a long time. When I came back, I heard Jim say to someone, well, she's a woman. You can't rush her. Then he turned to me and told me that I was worth the Kuwait. When we got to the restaurant, we perused the menu and ordered. The dinner was going great. Then suddenly, the air turned chilly. The waiter said the kitchen staff was Jamaican him crazy. He went on to say that the head cook was being a real turkey. Jim took that as our cue to leave. He said, check, please. Then he ordered an Uber. The Uber driver, Mark, quickly arrived. Jim asked him, can you take us back to our den, Mark? He said he could, but that he was having a problem with his car. Luckily, it just needed some grease. He quickly fixed it, and off we went. Once we got back to the house, Jim said it was so nice to bask in our love once again. After all, I'm a guy and you're a girl. I said, oh, man, I adore you too. It was then that we both knew that everything was going to be okay. Hey, Rabbit, what are you doing here? This is a perfect opportunity for me to demonstrate an old saying. Here today, gone tomorrow. In keeping with the international theme, I'd like to tell you one last story about a Spanish magician I once saw. He was wonderful. He started his show by waving his magic wand, and then he counted. Uno, dos, and poof, he disappeared without a trace. With that, I will disappear too. Back to you, Mr. Contest Chair.
We will now have 1 minute of silence for our judges to mark their ballots. Our next contestant number 3, Andriy Smolenko. Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Andriy Smolenko, don't repeat my mistakes. Don't repeat my mistakes, Andriy Smolenko.
Thank you very much, Madam Contest Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, did you know that most of the children born in the United States are born already with American flag in their hands? Yes, because they're just so patriotic. But did you know that many children in India are already born in a little chili hot pepper in their hands? Exactly, because they like hot food. And did you know that most of the children born in Ukraine are born with a little tiny bottle of vodka in their hands? Because, as you can guess, people like drinking. But not according to my dad. According to my dad, about Ukraine at least, is common misconception. Babies born in the Ukraine are born with 2 bottles of vodka in their hands because, as you can guess, they like drinking. You see, my dad has shaped my life in many ways. He taught me how to negotiate properly. He taught me about the birds and the bees, how to work hard, and even how to change and choose the right women. But most importantly, he known to me by one thing and one thing only. He always told me, son, don't repeat my mistakes. The first time I came across this amazing slogan, I was about 5 years old, and I was the only child in my family born in Ukraine, mom and dad accountants, and I felt lonely. I came to my dad and said, Dad, can I have a brother or sister, please? My dad looked at me, said, well, son, you have a choice to make. You can have a brother or sister, or you can have a push bike. The choice is yours. Guess what I choose? Precisely, push bike, of course. A few years later, I choose a motor scooter, and I'm still an only child in my family. Moving back later, at 10, I became a young criminal, young offender. I wanted to be a firefighter. We collected all the fire extinguisher in our neighborhoods, nice, big and foamy ones, about 20 kids with fire extinguisher in the forests, quenching that fire. And then some of the neighbors saw us, reported us to the police, and yes, I was a young offender at the age of 10. And that told me, son, don't follow my mistakes. Moving few years of my life, I turned 13. And then my dad decided to have a chat with me about the birds and the bees. I still remember that moment. I sat in the living room and my mom was nagging him from the bedroom. Come on, go and talk to Andrei. It's time. Then my dad walked into the room, sat in front of me and said, son, I have a very serious talk with you now. You're a big boy, you're growing, you like girls. And then, if you want to talk about anything about life and how the children born, go and talk to your mother. And he went off. Thank you, Dad. I just imagined the same talk with my son right now. He's 11. Hi, son. Do you want to talk about birds and the bees and how the children made? Yes, Dad. What would you like to know? He would say exactly that thing. There is another thing that I'm really grateful to my dad. He taught me really hard work. When I was about 20 years old, working for 2 weeks, non-stop, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, in a big massive warehouse where we were stacking shelf with empty bottles. 2 weeks non-stop, and I made about $200 American at that time. Hard, really, really hard work. And then, of course, being excited, I came to my dad and said, look, Dad, I've just made that money. What do you think I should do? Son, don't repeat my mistakes. Don't spend that money on women and booze. I didn't know what else I could do with that money at that time. So I decided to listen to my dad and spend money on women and booze, not in Kiev, but in London. Thanks to my daddy, I saved that money in my pocket, bought the tickets, and went to London on sabbatical. And I spent them, yes, you probably can guess what happened with that money. Ladies and gentlemen, my dad is turning 68 this year. He taught me many, many things in life about negotiating, about how to talk to my own children about birds and the bees, about hard work and how not to spend the money. At the same time, one of the most important lessons that I learned, that doesn't matter what I try, doesn't matter what I do, I am going to make mistakes. And Dad, I'm sorry. I have probably failed you in many, many ways. I repeated your mistakes. But one thing that I learned, one really, really important thing to me, what you taught me, Daddy, is that in case of doubt, I have my son now. Son, don't repeat my mistakes. Back to you, Madam Contest Chair.
We will now have 1 minute of silence for our judges to mark their ballots. We will now have an indefinite period of silence for our chief judge to collect all the ballots and go with their counter into the breakout room. Chief Judge, let me know when it's okay for us to proceed. Our chief judge has moved into the breakout room with the ballot counters. So now I get to know our contestants. And yes, let me reiterate, because I do remember initially that we all wanted to know where Toru would head with comedy. Unfortunately, he arrived after the briefing had already been started for the contest. Hopefully next time we get to hear his speech being done. Now, to our contestants who aren't actually in contest speaking order. For contestant number 1, Jim Barber. Hello, Jim, how are you? Can you hear me? Are you hearing what I'm saying?
What?
Can you hear me?
What?
Well, it's a good thing you have that AARP membership. You know exactly what you can do for Medicaid.
Darn tootin'.
You were our first contestant in the humorous speech contest. Let me ask, what inspired that speech?
Getting old. They say to talk about what you know, and so getting old inspired it. The funny part came from well, getting old.
All right, and what motivated you to compete?
Oh, David Carr.
Yeah, he can be very
He said
motivational.
we don't have any contestants. Isn't somebody going to sign up? So I said, okay, I'll sign up.
All right, now this is very fascinating for me because I wanted to know this personally. How did you come up with your speech title?
I gave a speech similar to this one, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe longer. And that title was The Age-Old Question. So I figured I'd make it The Age-Old Question is Even Older. Doesn't make sense, but
I need to pop in real quick as the vote counting assistant. Carolina, I think we still need your ballot.
Okay, all right, for future reference, we could move Carolina in, but that's part of the humorous contest. There you go. I think maybe she thought she was in the other place. That's the other, that wasn't the, no, I was about to ask you, so that was perfect timing.
Yep.
What was your most embarrassing moment online?
Are you asking that to me or to Carolina?
No, that would be to you. I was about to ask it, and then it's like practical demonstration right there.
I've never had anything embarrassing to happen to me online. Everything is very straightforward, very normal. Nothing.
Always worked well.
No embarrassments. No odd things. You know, nothing at all. No.
Nothing like that ever happens. Well, I'm happy to know that you have mastered the online space. And thank you so much for participating. Here is your certificate of participation for being a part of our contest. Next up is contestant number, well, technically 2, Kim Leaming. Kim, I'm going to ask you very differently because I'm going to start with you on the most embarrassing moment online.
You know what? There are so too many to count, but I mean, honestly, I do it all the time. It's just part of my personality without even trying. But I have to say, it's when I tried to do a PowerPoint presentation for a new member induction at the beginning of the meeting, and then right following my PowerPoint introduction was David Carr doing a tip about PowerPoint presentations, and I was the what's not to do.
I remember.
You gave a practical example. I always love practical examples, right? There you go. We get to demonstrate. What motivated you to compete?
I have struggled, as you know, with my past couple of speeches of being 2 to 4 seconds over. So what motivated me to compete is, you know, I love humor. That's just, I thrive with humor. I can't imagine doing straight speeches. I really enjoy the humor. And so what motivated me was to be able, well, our trip that was supposed to be scheduled for today to Seattle was canceled. And then I was able to do it. So here I am.
So happy to know that you were able to, and we got to see the great Blondini. Now, I'd ask what made you come up with that speech title, but I've always wanted to know where the great Blondini came from.
I have actually done magic since I was 8, and my whole life I've been doing magic, and this is the natural color of my hair. And so Blondini just, and I love dumb blonde jokes. Apart from magic, I've always collected dumb blonde jokes. So it was just a natural thing.
Awesome. Quite excellent. Use what you know, or is it the oh no, to motivate you. All right, so let me ask you, what made you join Online Presenters?
As you probably know, most people probably know, I did Toastmasters back in the mid 80s when I first started my job, and I was traveling the country doing speeches. And I honestly joined Toastmasters to find out if I would die when I tried to speak, and I didn't die. And then I found out that I really enjoyed the humor part of it. And Online Presenters, I joined because I can give speeches to people, but I just go when I'm looking at a camera. I was practicing my last speech, and I really noticed this. I had the tripod set up, and I didn't even have a camera on it, and I was still so I think it's the lack of response. And you know, when I talk to a camera, he doesn't laugh at me.
No,
So
it does
I think
not.
that's it.
I agree. No, it does not. And it will not give you the feedback of whether or not you got it. Thank you so much for choosing to compete today. And here is your certificate of participation. By the way, I have to say the Jim that you are mentioning is not the one who competed when you were speaking. Hey, just to make that clear. Thank you so much.
You're making
All
an
right.
assumption.
This
Hey,
is
Jim,
true.
we don't tell anybody about that.
But we're making sure we do that for both contestants' sake. Next is contestant number 3, Andriy Smolenko. Andriy, I did practice your name to make sure that I did not butcher it. And I think I did a good job. Did I do a good job? That's my first question. Did I get the name right?
Madam Contest Chair, if I said you did a bad job, I think that would perhaps jeopardize my chances today. However, you did a splendid job in pronouncing my name. Thank you.
Thank you. I practiced. So I'm going to ask you, what made you join Online Presenters?
Oh, that's easy. Nick Lahani, former president of this club, he just lives 10, 15 minutes away from me. We met up one day. He told me about this exciting new club, Online Presenters, based in the United States. so many people to learn from, so many people from different backgrounds, and it's a challenge. At that time, I quit Toastmasters, didn't do it for a few years, and I thought, right, I want to be there. And it's a good time scale. You see, I'm an oval. So now it's 1:30 in the morning, so it's Tuesday already. And I just like spending this time hanging out and learning how to speak in public. So those few things put together, and here I go.
Always fun to find somewhere that we can find out what tomorrow is like. And as Grandma always says, and that no matter how bad Monday is, it will end.
Oh, yes, I'm already on Tuesday. It's always beautiful. Absolutely.
Awesome. Now, let me ask you, what was your most embarrassing moment online?
Oh, I had many. I can hardly count them embarrassing moments online. One of them was before COVID, before we all used to Zoom online meetings. I introduced the meetings with my clients. I'm a debt advisor or insolvency advisor, and most of my work requires being really laser focused, sharp with clients, talking about bankruptcy, how to avoid bankruptcy, where we can borrow, how much we can take, these new trends, and going on. And then out of sudden, my bedroom door burst open. My daughter and son, I hate him. They just burst into the room. And to me, it was first time ever in my life. I didn't know what to do. Luckily, the guy who was going through bankruptcy said, it's fine. Okay, don't worry. We'll have children. As long as you can still help me with bankruptcy, can we continue? That was one.
It does help to have composure online when the unexpected happened. I was about to make a disclaimer about a 12-year-old in my background, but I'm hoping nobody heard him.
No.
So my last question for you is going to be, how did you choose your speech title?
Oh, since I started engaging humor project, one of the recommendation and pathways was to keep a journal or a diary with 1 or 2 jokes on a regular basis. As long as you do it regularly, that works. And I started doing this. And one of the things I remembered after speaking with my dad, he always still saying, son, don't repeat my mistakes. I thought, boom, it's humorous speech contest. Dad, here you go. Don't repeat my mistakes. So he, his picture, this video will be on YouTube forever, I hope. So I can send him a link. He will be happy. Maybe he will stop saying that because I'm 43. So I don't know.
I think he has a head start, so might have a few more mistakes than you to avoid as you get closer to him. But thank you so much for being a part of our humorous contest. And here is your certificate of participation.
Thank you. Thank you.
So for everyone, before our chief judge gets ready to announce, I'm going to ask that we all unmute and give our contestants a rousing round of applause and some woot woots up in here.
Woohoo! Yay!
And I now turn control over to our chief judge to put us out our misery and let us know who won.
Okay. And keep those mics unmuted. There's some drum roll duty that you're going to need to be able to do. There is some applause that we'd like people to be able to hear as we go along. So here are the online presenters. Humorous speech contest winners for 2023. Starting out with third place. That would be Kim Leaming.
Yay!
Yay.
Thank you.
And second place, Andriy Smolenko.
All right, Andrei.
Yay!
Thank you.
And in first place, some of you can do process of elimination. You might have something figured out by about now. But in first place, It is Jim Barber.
Hey, congrats,
Go, Jim.
Okay.
Welcome.
Hey, David,
Joni,
our videos are still locked out.
Yeah, Joni may have some stuff to share later in terms of official certificates, but those are the results. Congratulations to all the contestants and to the audience for being here and making this a contest. Now, to those who say that you can't do a humorous speech contest online, what do you think? Did we do your humorous speech contest online?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I do believe we have ended with copious amounts of time. So is this the part where we turn it into a table topics contest as well? Or do I turn over to our president?
Let's see. Yeah, we do have.
It is 8:38 Eastern time in the US, so we have about a half hour. Let's put it to good use. Do we have people that have table topics ready to go? I can certainly lead table topic questions and throw some things up that people might find interesting to share their thoughts about. First one is about people that you know about. And here's one that will be present for June 30th when they're releasing the next Indiana Jones movie. And this is what you may not have known about this guy. Harrison Ford. He's now the highest grossing actor in American film history. However, how did he start out? He started out as a carpenter working on the Star Wars movie. And someone wasn't able to make their lines. And Lucas pointed to him and said, just take that guy and he'll do a reading with you. And he did that. And that led to Star Wars. That led to Indiana Jones. It led to a pretty extensive career. So circumstances are always there. So my question to Katrika is, what is special in your life that people don't know about that will lead you to greatness?
Oh, thank you, Toastmaster Andrew. It's wonderful to be here online with you all. So, one thing that I would like to say, which is great to me, is like my intuitiveness, the way that I feel, the way that I take forward with the intuitiveness that I have, and the mindfulness which flows me all through my life, that has taken me in all the hurdles and the best difficult situations that I've faced in my life. So if I have to explain myself about something which is not taking me forward, is the non-liveliness or to be idle at some point in time. I cannot be idle. I'll have to work on something. I'll have to keep myself engaged, which gives me something of fruitfulness, a result oriented and focused way of approach, which provides me flourishment and also makes me happy, providing value to others. So, this is the one thing that I would like to take forward all through my life and also to spread across to the fellow Toastmasters. Over to you, Toastmaster Andrew.
Thank you very much. And we are still using table topic timing. So Antoinette, remind everybody what the timing for a table topic is. Antoinette, are you there?
Yes, yeah, I was so blown away. Sorry. All right, for the table topics, I believe it's 2 minutes, correct?
Yeah, 1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes. So 1 minute will be the green, 1.5 minutes will be the yellow, and 2 minutes will be the red, and you have 30 seconds to wrap up after that.
Okay, fantastic. This one is going to Toru since he missed out on doing his speech. Toru, obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off the goal. How does that apply to your life? And tell me about what obstacles did you encounter when you took your eyes off your goal?
Instead of answering this question, I'd like to do my speech. Is it?
Well, maybe we can do one more table topic and then come back for Toru's speech. We definitely do have time for it.
Okay, so.
Well, Andy, why don't you give the table topic to somebody else, and then we'll bring Toru back to give his speech.
Okay. Who is Tech 2? Is that you, David, doing a second
That would be
screen?
Dominic.
That's Dominic. Okay. This is for Evie then. Same question. Obstacles are what you see when you take your eyes off your goal. Have you had any situations where you took your eyes off your goal and you ran into the wall?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have definitely gone through that a couple different times in my life. And I think I'm going to go all the way back to high school for this one. So when I was a junior in high school, I was in academic decathlon. And I was, I was pretty confident in my academic abilities. I mean, they asked me to be an academic decathlon for crying out loud. And I was really happy about that. And so when I got put on a team to do a literature project that was relevant to our academic decathlon topics, this guy, I was shocked because he couldn't even cut a straight line. Like, he couldn't spell, right? He was very bad at prose. Like, he had no art skills whatsoever. And I was thinking to myself, what is this guy doing here? Like, I was an immature kid, and I was getting so frustrated with the fact that, like, I had to work with someone who I didn't feel like even belonged there, that it started making my own work for our project, our shared project, suffer because of my conflict that I was having with this person. And then we started mathematics. So we went into this classroom with this teacher that I had, and he was like, I had always had trouble with the subject matter that he taught, especially trigonometry. And here is this guy, his name's Aldo. Here is this guy just wiping the floor with every person in that class, just problem after problem. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's so fast, he's so sharp. And all of a sudden, I look at him and I realize how much the wool has been over my eyes when thinking about other people. And I felt so bad. And I started to get to know him, and he was so cool. And he was one of my best friends for the rest of high school. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to do one last table topic, and then Teru's going to do his speech. So he's warming up right now. We are going to call on Trisha Jervis. And the question I have for you is this. 1% better every day, small changes over time leads to big results. How has that been the case for you? Doing a little bit better every day that has led to larger results.
Thank you for that question, Andy. As soon as I saw your poster and you asked that question, I immediately knew what my answer was going to be. But what first came to mind is the idea of juggling. And I remember when I was in 7th grade, for some odd reason, there was a juggling class, and they were showing you how to do it with the handkerchiefs, and they showed you how to do it with the balls once you figured out the handkerchiefs, but they always added one at a time. When you learn to juggle, you can't learn and have one ball and then suddenly pick up 7 of them. you're just not going to make it. You've got to incrementally get better. I think about things like trying to do better with exercise and eating. I want to get to the weight loss so bad that I'm just doing all of it. I'm going to document. I'm going to watch what I eat. I'm going to look at my macronutrients. I'm going to do weightlifting. But you got to do it a little at a time. You could burn yourself out. You could get overwhelmed. You could quit. And you don't want to do that if you want to see those big results. You don't have to have a big boom at the beginning to get big results. You just have to incrementally help yourself change, add a layer, one at a time, and eventually you'll get to those big results. Thank you. Back to you.
Fantastic. And at this time, we appreciate everybody that participated, and I'm going to pass this over to Joni, who will introduce Toro and his speech. Go to you, Joni.
Thank you so much for that impromptu table topics with great demand. I think I need a drum roll for this, or some woot, or some celebration noise. Let me see if I can get some happening in here. There you go. Woo, 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 by popular demand, coming to the online presenters. Vaudeville stage is Toru Maruyama. Apology, Toru Maruyama.
Oh, can I? Hey, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity, even though I was late. All right. An apology press conference in the wake of a corporate executive scandal is a frequent scene in the news, not only Japan, but the rest of the world. As a reporter, I have covered it numerous times for the last 30 years. Today, I'm going to tell you a little secret behind it. Before that, I want you to recognize that it is a phenomenon, very unique in Japan, because it is closely related to the custom and the culture of our country. And first of all, there are two unofficial criteria by which we measure the seriousness of a policy of a given person in the press conference. First, we observe how deep the executives get down their heads. 15 degrees out of the question. 30 degrees, not enough. 45 degrees, so. And 90 degrees and more, excellent. Second, we watch how long they get down their heads and keep the posture. 10 seconds is a minimum. The longer, the better. Now, there was a scandal of a major electric power company some 5 years ago in Osaka, the second biggest city in our country. 20 executives got gifts worth of $3 million from a CEO of a construction company over the period of 13 years. When it was revealed by the media, our top 4 officers held a press conference. The president of the company. This man said, taking gifts from a client is not illegal in business. He was talking as if he got a birthday present or a Christmas gift from his close friends. That was completely out of the line. And actually, they bowed only 15 degrees and kept the posture for only 3 seconds and left the room soon. We are furious and disclosed a more damaging story. One of the executive was given gold ingots worth $1 million. Gold ingots. It was a bribe, so it's a crime, we thought. A week later, they held second press conference and everyone bowed 45 degrees and kept the posture for 5 seconds this time. They are more apologetic than before, however. The president said, we might have been ethically wrong, but nobody got cash. Nobody broke the law, so we don't resign. They must have thought that they could get away with it. And that was the most twisted and stupid excuse I had ever heard. They didn't understand the gravity of their deeds. The media campaigned for immediate resignation. Responding to the big wave of denouncement and criticism of the people and the media, the company gave third press conference this time. They bowed more than 90 degrees and kept the posture for 15 seconds to show their remorse and declared they would resign at last. But too late. 3 weeks had passed since the day one. By dragging the scandals for a long time, they destroyed the company's reputation completely and proved to be the greediest, most shameless and stupid leaders in the industry. In a critical situation like this, a leader must have a cool judgment, a firm determination, and a quick action. And not a single executive in this company possessed any of these qualities. And that was a tragedy and disaster. So suppose you are a CEO accused of great misconduct. And if you are guilty, hold a press conference immediately, apologize sincerely, and bow deep enough, keep the posture long enough, and resign on the spot without hesitation. That is the real apology. And that is the real leadership in our country. What do you think? Contest chair.
Thank you, Toru, and you rounded us out just with enough time for me to say we won't be doing evaluations today, save for one, but that's a direct message. And I now return control of the virtual space to our Table Topics Master, now wearing another hat / president, Andrew Burns.
Thank you very much, Joni. And thank you, Tora. We appreciate your speech. And I guess we need to be grateful that you made it to our meeting and we had a chance to hear the speech. And next time, bring your clock and set it a little bit ahead of time so that you won't have any problems meeting the schedule. All right. As I said before, we have 43 days or so before the end of the year. That means we have 43 days for people to knock out additional speeches, to finish their pathways, and to get new honors. We've had the opportunity to witness people get their DTM projects on board. We've watched Joni do her innovative DTM project with Udemy, and she brought that to us as well. We're grateful for David for bringing members from all over the planet into our online presenters meeting, such as Trish from Club Awesome and Claudia from Club Awesome, and others that are joining us. Joni brought in Dominique for this meeting, and I look forward to hearing other people that are being brought in. You can still sign up new members for this year, and it will count. But we are a healthy, growing, innovative club, thanks to all of you. I don't have any specific messages in terms of meetings that you're to be aware of, other than to say that this year's international meeting will be in the Bahamas. District 47 is the sponsor, identified, responsible for the success of this meeting. And many of us on this call are from District 47. So I just want to let you know your beer responsibility for this. If you cannot make it to the Bahamas, you can sign up for virtually the entire meeting. That means not only the world competition, which you can participate and listen to all the speeches, all of the educational programs, as well as the business meeting to know what the board of directors is up to. And you can watch all of that for $45 or $55, somewhere in that range. And you can sign up for it right now. It's live on the Toastmasters website. So I encourage all of you who cannot go to the Bahamas this year, August 13th through 16th, to sign up for it virtually and hold a virtual party for your clubs, your members, your friends, and let them see what the competition is really like at the world level. That's about it for me, unless anyone else has any new information.
Andy, can we just talk a minute about the roles for next week?
Absolutely.
So I put myself in as Toastmaster of the day. We do have 2 speakers, and